Hello Dominators and welcome back to another episode of Domination Tips. I'm right back for you, like you can obviously see, and I'm visiting some guy which is quite in the atomic age. That means this is a new update video or the update guide for the atomic age, which was quite already implemented only I think 2 or even 3 hours ago in Germany. I don't know how it was in other countries, but we have to talk, or I want to talk about with you. So you can already see the new riflemen over here, the new heavy howitzers, new factory, mercenary camp with tank destroyers, the new castle and something like that. I don't think that we can see the new Worldwonder. Yes, we see it, the United Nations building over here. This guy, obviously, he also built the fort stable and something like that. This, it probably looks like when you're investing very much money, much money in the game. Already upgraded his blacksmith and so on, but we will go through it very systematically. I made a plan to show it to you, but first, guys, I have a little request to you. In my former videos, I see nearly about 200, even 300, 400 views, but nevertheless, I only get 4 likes or even 7 likes, and I think that's very little. I'm doing all of this effort only for you. I, for myself, have this information. I'm quite using it, but I want to provide this information also for you, and therefore, it's quite very helpful if you just give me some feedback whether the video was informatical and even good for you. Otherwise, if you don't give any feedback, I'm a little bit suspicious, and I don't know whether my content I'm presenting to you is very good or even not good. So just give some feedback, please, guys. We will start with the offensive powers for with new available troops, with the amount of troops, how you increase it with tactics. Then we will go to the defensive, the amount of buildings, the upgrade stages of buildings. At least we'll go to the traps, but the problem is for the traps I don't have any information currently. Then we'll go for the Worldwonders and at least for generals and for the library. I, for myself personally, like you probably know, I'm in the industrial age, so I have no access to the atomic age. So I did some researches and contacted some guys, some friends of me, which are already in the global age, and it took me 3 hours from now to message them so that they sent me some screenshots of all available buildings and upgrades so that I have the statistics for you to present it visually and in statistics for you. So hopefully, guys, you like it. We will go now to the offensive powers. Starting with the infantry guy, you quite easily can notice that the jump from the industrial to the global age was very huge, and you could gain some new tactics, some stronger tactics, and even very much more stronger troops. That was a reason for many players to rush upwards to the global age to maximize their offensive potential. In the atomic age, it's a little bit different, slightly different, because troop upgrades are not in general very good. Like you can see, the infantry guy is not getting boosted that much. I think he gets about nearly 100 and a little bit new hit points, only a little bit more damage. And in total, I don't think that it is worth to rush for some infantry to the next age. The marksmen, for example, are getting some very nice statistics because they are getting additional 57 hit points. They are coming out to 439 hit points, and they get 6 additional damage. That's very much indeed. So in total, you will get about to 54 damage at ordinary troops as British player, for example, but you will end up at 68 damage per second. I'm not quite sure. I got sent this picture from a good friend of me in my alliance, and I think indeed he already researched some additional hit damage for his troops in the university. So probably the difference between ordinary troops with 54 hit points with 54 damage per second and from the British troops with 68 will not be 14, but indeed I think about 6 or even 8, so the British will be definitely stronger, but I'm not quite sure whether they will be that much stronger, because 68 damage per second is already very huge for some riflemen, which have also an additional range. Let's also go over the less important units, like for example the motorcycle riders. They are not getting that much stronger. They will get a little bit additional hit points and damage per second, but in total you don't really will recognize this. The veteran combat engineers will get insane damage against walls. You see over here 42,900 damage against walls. We will later talk about the wall upgrade in among or in the part of defenses and of buildings, and there you will see that the walls are getting insanely strong, but nevertheless 42,900 are way too much. And even if you have researched everything in the university, I'm quite sure the wall stepper will nevertheless be able to crush even the highest walls, which are currently level 15 in Atomic Age, instantly. The heavy mortar was already quite strong after the last update and implementation of the new, library chapter, where you could increase the hit points and the damage 2 times, and also extend the range of the mortar from 4 to even 5, so that they are nearly equal to British ranged infantry, and so they got very strong. But I don't think that the improvements or the upgrades from global to atomic were or even are so big that it is recommendable to rush for them. More interesting, we have over here our tanks, and this is an ordinary main battle tank, how it is called in the Atomic Age. You will see from 19,140 hit points, you will get additional 2,878 hit points. That means nearly 3,000 hit points additional from 19,000, and that are nearly 15% additional hit points. That's quite a lot, I have to say. And also plus 43 damage per second is also very crucial. But if you remind, we are in the Atomic Age, so this is the period after the Second World War, and even in this period the tank technology was really boosted up, and so it is only historical correct to boost the tanks that much and other units a little bit less. We have also some additional information about, for example, nation-specific troops. We see over here the French tank, which is very much boosted, like you probably know, due to the fact that it is a nation-specific troop, which has boosted values. And you see over here the other tank got increased from about 19,100 of about 2,800 additional hit points, and this tank starts at 2,262. 22,620 hit points from Global Age, and gets additional 3,406 hit points. In total, he will come out at 26,000 hit points and above 500 damage per second. So this is a very beast. Because of the hit points, it is nearly as durable as Global Edge MK3 heavy tanks. So that's very insane, I think. The healing card also is able to being upgraded to the supply convoy. The supply convoy gets additional 116 health points and additional 5 amount of healing. That's not very much, but in total, if you are playing with 2, even 3 healing cards, they will heal a lot more. But I don't think that these improvements are so very high. What is very disappointing, in my opinion, are the howitzers. The howitzers are getting upgraded to field howitzers, but they are only getting about 15% additional hit points and 10% additional damage. So they are quite good, nevertheless. But the boost from the industrial to the global age was way stronger. Probably that's a fact because why they are getting boosted not that much in the next upgrade too. Let's come to our air units. Currently, I have no information about the planes, the upgrade of the planes, I think. But I heard about that they are getting some additional hit points as well as some additional damage per second. In the global age, the last upgrade stage was about to get no additional damage, only some hit points. So it's very cool to hear that also the damage is getting increased. a little bit in the atomic age. Obviously, here we see the transporter, which is quite only a unit to deploy some paratroopers and even don't to attack. We see he gets additional 232 hit points. That's not very much, and in total the amount is also not very much. But the transport also has not the aim to tank some damage. The aim of the transporter is to deploy as often as possible some airborne units, which are quite strong. The airborne units are getting boosted a little bit. So you see they have, in total at the atomic age, if you have upgraded, more than 4,000 hit points and nearly 500 damage per second. And you get every 30 seconds 3 paratroopers, which are quite not triggering any shooting, any defender spawning buildings like stables, command posts, garrisons, bunkers and town centers. They are getting not triggered, only shooting buildings, and due to their high hit points they are not very vulnerable to the most of the buildings. There's also an additional fact we will talk about later in the library, why this transporter and especially the airborne units could be very, very important and strong into this age. Here we have the bomber, and you can just upgrade it to the heavy bomber. You see the hit points are quite ridiculous. 1,702 hit points and get additional 10% of 177 hit points. So this guy can only tank, I don't know, if someone farts, it will just easily die. But it's also not the target to tank some damage. The bomber is not has the aim to deal some damage. And there you can see this amount is just huge. 20,015 hit points plus additional 2,001 hit points. So about 22,000 hit points, which can erase nearly every building in except for air defense and town center immediately. The onlyest weaknesses are buildings like the air defense and towers because of their damage and because of the fact that the bomber is only doing 10% damage against these buildings. I think the bomber got increased quite well, but nevertheless the weakness of the bomber will keep or even will stay the hit points, which is it already were before. We also have the bazookas, which can be upgraded to veteran bazookas. You see the damage is a little bit or slightly increasing. So also the multiple times damage against tanks, walls, and buildings, and also the hit points are growing. The hit points are nearly growing by 1 out of 7. So I don't know how to call it, but I think these are a little bit about 15%. So a huge hit point increase. I think the damage increasing is not that much. But you probably know, bazookas you are not using in a very huge amount. You are only using 1, 2, even 3 of them to tank something in the middle of ordinary troops and the sapper. Because if you're taking the wall sapper, it is the onlyest aim is to crash the wall and then instantly die, going and do suicide. But the bazooka has quite some very huge damage against tanks, walls, and buildings. So it can be also very helpful after crashing the wall and not only crashing the wall. So the bazooka is quite a sensible unit to use instead of wall sappers, for example. Like you can probably see, 1,200 if you have upgraded, about 1,400 damage versus walls, buildings, and tanks. So this guy is even much stronger than your field howitzers against buildings and walls. Therefore, I think it's quite an opportunity to use him. Now we are coming to the right interesting units, the APC as well as the helicopter. And let's look at it. If you look at the APC, you see an armored vehicle which looks quite durable. But if you're looking to the hit points, it gets ridiculous. You see, the hit points are only 2,240, and so you obviously can see this unit is not used as a tank unit. It has to have another first aim. And then look at the statistics. You have an unit which can deploy infantry troops, so it is nearly working as ground unit, similar to the transporter as air unit, because it deploys some troops in regular periods, but it is doing automatically. So every 9 seconds you get deployed 2 elite infantry units, which are quite maxed out in the atomic age. So maxed out atomic infantry guys every 9 seconds. If we are now thinking about a battle which has a duration of 3 minutes and 30 seconds, in total you can deploy 23 times to elite infantry, so in total 46 elite infantry guys. And if you're already using 2 of the APCs, you will get 92 additional troops in the game, 92 additional infantry guys just only by using this APCs. So I think you probably can use them because the elite infantry guys have 348 damage and 980 hit points. So they are very helpful, I think, to get rid of some buildings, some nasty buildings at sea, probably. But you have to protect your APCs due to the fact that they don't have very many hit points and as well as don't deal that much damage. You see also the range is 3 and they have a machine gun. They are getting trained in the factory. So my conclusion would be that they are working like the machine gun you can see in the background to suppress enemy troops by their fire. So even make enemy troops slowing down and decrease their damage. I would think, but we will see, which is indeed helpful that these vehicles are still shooting on their own as well as producing some additional troops for you. Later on, we will talk about the barracks capacity, and because of increasing the barracks capacity, it would be probably some. It is probably worth to try out these troops because you get additional capacity. Here is the attack helicopter, guys, and if I have to be honest, this is a unit I'm the most looking forward to, due to the fact that this unit is quite a little bit between air and even ground units. You can train it in your barracks. You see by these food costs, and it will be counted or even in usage like a ground unit. But nevertheless, that this is a ground unit, it can fly above walls, like it is standing at the left side, able to fly over walls. That's very strong. An additional fact we see, the hit points are not that much high. So you have to protect it. The damage is very, very low. Only 38. That's quite similar to a gunpowder age ranged infantry. But you see also 5 times damage against defensive buildings. So I think you can take, or you even use the helicopters probably as some tanks, not even by tanking the damage, but as units which are primarily focusing on defensive buildings instead of other buildings first. You also see a very nice thing. You see the range over here. 7 range, that means they are the that are the troops which have the highest range in the completely game, even 2 more than British infantry guys. And so they will even be able to take out enemy towers, enemy air defense, enemy mortars, all buildings instead of sniper towers, without that these buildings can resist or even shoot back to them. Currently, I'm not quite sure whether sniper towers can take them out because they are ground troops, and so logically sniper towers would be able to shoot at them, but I'm quite sure, and I definitely know, that enemy ground units like tanks and even infantry guys are able to shoot at them. So make sure that these guys are, or even think about and remind that these guys are only ground units and can be and are getting handled or even treated in the game like ground units. But due to the fact that this has the highest range in the game, in relation not so high troop capacity usage, I definitely will, when I'm coming to the Atomic Age, use these units, and I'm looking forward to see how they are working. Right now, I think we got through all of the new troops which you could research, or through all troops for which I have some information for you. Let's talk about the barracks. In the global age, you were even not able to upgrade your barracks to get additional troop capacity, and very many, especially the Romans players, claimed that they said, okay, hey, my Romans are a late game nation. So the later the game gets and the more troop capacity you have ordinary, the higher the 10% bonus of the nation specific effect from the Romans get. And they talked about, wow, in global age we have no additional troops, so playing Romans is completely senseless. But now in the atomic age, you get plus additional 5 capacity from every barracks. So in total 155 troops. As Romans you will get 170 troops, and that's quite a lot, quite a lot, if we think about how strong the units and how different units you get in the atomic age. Over here I have also a picture for you where you can see the barracks on the left top side, on the left bottom side. You can see the upgraded airstrip, library, even some traps, sniper tower, anti-tank gun, air defense, machine gun tower, so a redoubt, I think, an up-leveled or even upgraded mortar, the blacksmiths, the mercenary camp, and even something of the World Wonder, what we will talk about later. And so you see the visualization of all of these buildings got quite upgraded. I don't know how to call it. There are very many details in it, and they don't look so used like the before. The cannon towers look very rusty in the industrial and even in the global age, and now it looks pretty shiny, everything. I think all of these clashy colors over here, it reminds me to Clash of Clans, but nevertheless I really love these details. Like you can probably see at the missiles, at the SAM batteries, you see they really look like rockets, and these tank traps, which is quite indeed barbed wire, but it looks like some barricades for tanks and something like that. So I think the visualization of the upgrades are very nice. We nearly got complete through. What we have to talk about is the mercenary camp. You see, by upgrading the storehouse, you will able to get 28 capacity for trade goods. That's only very logical. But you also see by upgrading you get 3 new units, the freedom fighters, which will substitute the close combat, the infantry, the BRDM, which will substitute the raiders, and the tank destroyer. I'm quite sure this one will substitute the Flampanzer, but it is working quite in another way. We'll start with the probably most useless unit, the BRDM-1, which is a raider, which you can just hire in your mercenary camp. But let's be honest, guys. In my mercenary camp, I'm using for World War only strong units and not any raiders at all, because in total their usage or their statistics are even worse than ordinary motorcycle riders, and so I don't think that anyone will use them. But nevertheless, if you want to give them a try, just try them out. I don't think that they will be so important in this age. So let's skip them. And let's get to more interesting guys, like probably the Freedom Fighter. You see he has a very nice shotgun over here, looks a little bit like Rambo. He has hit points about 1096 and even damage about 237. So in total a little bit, I think only a very few less than ordinary infantry hit points, but very many less damage per second. So I don't think it is sensible to call them with you. They were substituting the Gurkha, I think it's called. So I don't think the upgrade was that much good. The most important new unit in the mercenary camp is the tank destroyer. It looks quite equal to a heavy tank and also has nearly the same hit points. You see 30,300 hit points, so it is a moving and driving town center, for example. You also see damage 1,571, so nearly equal to the heavy tank MK4 in the global age, but what you can see, which is very special, damage against other tanks 6,286, so I think it's 4 times the amount of the ordinary damage. That means this guy is very, very strong against enemy tanks. It is also called tank destroyer, so what to expect? And you see it requires 2 capacity, so like the Flampanzer. So I think this one will be very, very useful to use it. I'm very looking forward to use it. Here we are at the town center to see what upgrades will be done by reaching the atomic age. You see it's very ordinary. You get 10 additional street or road. I think this is in every age equal. Also the amount of walls you will get, but you get 2 additional additional gates. Now the buildings are coming which are very important, and I think it's very impressive to see you get a third sniper tower. That means that your defensive will be boosted very much. From the industrial to the global age, I very recently recognized that the offensive power grows much more than the defensive power. So currently or in the last time, you probably recognize that in World War very often 5 stars were taken, and it nearly got just ordinary to say, okay, hey, I took 5 stars, so World War ended up in a stalemate, because the defensive power was quite below or even behind the offensive power. And I'm quite sure now with the Atomic Age, the developers try to change this a little bit so that even 3 or 4 stars are getting ordinary and not always taking 5 stars. This, I think, they will want to achieve by implementing a new amount of buildings. And you see a third additional sniper tower as 5th redoubt, I think, Yes, 5 readouts, I think you are getting. The 4th one in the global age. And what is very impressive, you will get a 4th stable. All of you guys which are in the industrial age or even fight it against industrial or even global age, know what a pain in the ass tank depots can be, and this is a tank depot if you have upgraded it enough. So if the enemy has 4 tank depots instead of 3, defense will be boosted very much. You also see a 6th cannon tower, some traps over here, 1 additional ambush trap, 1 additional spike trap, and even 1 additional barbed wire or even caltrops. So very also 1 SAM battery, so you get 1 additional from all of the defensive traps. And you see the Worldwonders, which we will talk about later. Here you see the upgrading statistics for a mortar from about level 7 global age maximum to about level 8 atomic maximum. And we already mentioned the improving statistics of our offensive power or of our offensive troops. Now remind the fact that our offensive troops or even the our offensive in the atomic age is not getting maxed out that much. But now look at the hit points and even at the damage you are gaining. Ordinary, you are gaining about 200, 300 additional hit points and probably 9 additional damage in a redoubt or even at a mortar. But now you get 34 additional damage. That means from about 120 damage you already have at a stage 7 mortar, you gain 25%, more than 25, even 26, 27% more damage only by upgrading. And you're also getting 25% nearly 24% of more hit points. That means your defense will strengthen up that much. And that is also highlighting my argument I told you before. The developers try to get the defensive more powerful so that enemy bases cannot be crushed that easy like it is currently. I also only was able to get 1 additional other upgrade statistics for you. From no other building I have currently some information, but it was more important for me to present the information very early to you than present every information to you. But you can indeed be sure that all of the defensive buildings which you are increase very highly in hit points as well as in damage, due to the fact, like I told you, that the defense is getting strengthened up by the developers. You also see the bunker is getting additional 1000 hit points, which is quite a lot. So also 20%, near a little bit above 22%, I think. But you also will see only a heavy tank MK4 will spawn. There will be no additional tanks spawning, and the maximum capacity of tanks which spawn is also not boosted. Also same in the time of the defenders, so only the kind of defenders is changing. The upgrade costs are about 200,000 oil, I think. Here we are at the probably most impressive upgrade you can get in the Atomic Age. You see the walls. And walls already, or nearly always in the game, have a very high role of importance due to the fact that you can strengthen up your complete defense by leveling your walls. You probably recognize that in the Industrial Age and in all ages before, you were able to upgrade your walls twice per level. But in the Global Age as well as in the Atomic Age, you're only able to upgrade them once. So in total, you will end up at level 15, which I'm showing you over here. But also ordinary, you can be very happy if you are getting 2000 additional hit points by upgrading your walls. But if you are upgrading to level 15, you get 8500 fucking, sorry that I have to say it in this way, 8500 ridiculous hit points additional. So that means you will end up in total, if you upgrade your walls from level 14 to even level 15, at 38,000, nearly 38, even 37,900, but that's quite equal hit points, which is so ridiculous. That's so huge. I can't even believe it. Also, another argument to highlight that the developers want to strengthen up the defense. Here I also have for you the gates. Also the gates, which are always the weakness, the most or the highest weaknesses in your defensive, due to the fact that the walls are always very stronger to them, and the higher your walls are, the more difference is between walls and gates. So you see the walls at level 14 have 29,000 hit points, and the gates only 20,000. But as well as the walls are getting boosted very much, the gates also get 5,600 additional hit points and will end up at 27 hit points. That's really ridiculous, I think. But I'm also very impressed. I checked it out. Sorry guys, I only have the visualization to you for the traps. I showed already to you. I saw all kind of traps. But I don't have any statistics for you. But nevertheless, be sure that the traps also are getting very much stronger because of strengthening up the defense. We will go on now to the Worldwonders. Here you have the Worldwonders, and like it was already always before, you are getting every second age an additional choice of one of 4 out of 4 Worldwonders. So you get in the Iron Age, in the Iron Age, in the Classical, in the Gunpowder, in the Industrial, and in the Atomic Age wonders. So this is the fifth wonder you can choose. We have the Sydney Opera House, the Atomium, the United Nations, and the Pentagon. Here we are at the Atomium. The Atomium has 2 primary skills. The first skill is the research time is getting decreased by 10%, so you can do your researches quite faster. I think this is only paying out for the late researches. So for the last researches in every chapter at every stage, the first researches of a stage always only take 1, then 2, 3, upcoming to I think 10 days. So the last researches take about 8 to 10 days, and then this 10% I think will start to pay out. And you have also a cooldown reset of other wonders. So the reset of the Brandenburg Gate for Blitzkrieg, the reset of the Colosseum for Strength of the Gladiator, and so on. I'm not quite sure whether this is meaning all reset cooldowns. So for the additional mercenary army from the Taj Mahal probably, but it's very sure or very indeed, I'm quite sure, resetting the cooldown time for Blitzkrieg and for Strength of the Gladiator, for example. So, to not only use the university skill of this Atomium, I would highly recommend, if you want to take the Atomium, think about whether you have Blitzkrieg and Strength of the Gladiator, so you can use both aspects of these World Wonder. Otherwise, I think a World Wonder is always quite wasted if you're only using one out of two meanings. For example, if you're playing with the Brandenburg Gate and not using any factory troops, this is quite wasted because 50% of the universe of the World Wonder effect you are not using. Here we have the Pentagon, and with the Pentagon, the developers are coming after a very strong request from many players, due to the fact that the training blessing always was able to speed up the production of factory and barracks troops, but nevertheless we never had something to speed up the production of air units, which are quite essential. Now we have a World Wonder which is always, and over the complete time for the whole game when you have placed it, reducing the troop training time for your airstrips. That means 20% less time to produce your air units, and this could be quite handy. But indeed, I don't want to take it because I think then I even wait 20 minutes or even I think longer. I will take another World Wonder which gives me some boosts which I'm more often using. But you also have another very nice boost from the Pentagon, an extra general Wow, an extra general you can assign at the Pentagon. So the Pentagon is working like the castle, and it has quite the equal range of the castle and working like a castle, just only not shooting at enemies, but it has generals. So you can place probably 2 castles in which the enemy has to get rid of. And so you can have a total amount of 4 defending generals, which is very indeed impressive. Next world wonder is the United Nations building. This building is, I really thought about choosing this building because of the effect that it is very recommendable for World War players. If you are an active World War players or a warmonger, you probably know that national trade goods are getting very, very easy burned due to the World War because of strong enemies, and you always have to activate some defensive coalitions, which quite cost a lot of national trade goods. You can take once per day 3 national trade goods, 3 random national trade goods which are getting granted to you. So especially for players which are not going for 5 stars in the multiplayer, and so which are not very often getting a bonus national trade goods, this is probably a recommendation. But you have also a defensive meaning. This building is working like a factory, like a blacksmith, a tactic academy, and even a mercenary camp when you have researched the resistance chapter in the global age. So this means if this building is getting destroyed, like it stays down here, it is just spawning a peacekeeping force. And this peacekeeping force, and now quite hear about carefully, the peacekeeping force consists out of one unit from every nation-specific nation. That was very complex explained. Sorry, guys. I meant you have 8 nations, and every nation has a nation-specific unit, and you will get from every nation the nation-specific unit to spawn. So you will get one Greek tank, one French tank, one British, Chinese, and even Korean ranged infantry, and you will get some German, Roman, and even German, and Japanese infantry guys, which are spawning and just fighting for you against the enemy. Here you can see the peacekeeping force. 2 one French, 1 Greek tank. Here a very fast shooting Chinese ranged infantry, very ranged 5 range British marksmen, and even 2 infantry guys. 2 infantry guys and 2 another I think 1 another ranged infantry and 1 ordinary infantry. At least I come to the last world wonder, which is probably the most attractive for me personally. The Sydney Opera House. It has also 2 effects. The first effect is that expedition travel times is getting reduced by 20%. If you have upgraded your dock, or your shipyard, I don't know how it is called in later ages, to industrial or even global stage, you probably know that the expeditions are lasting very long, for about 5 or 6 or 7 days. And so this 20% reduction will very pay out. But you also will get 1 additional citizen. In total, that means I will have 20 citizens, and as Chinese player, you are already getting or being able to have 21 citizens. And I think this is very a lot, which you can quite use to improve the speed of progress in your base. Before we go to the library upgrades, let's take a little look to the generals. And you see over here, you get 10 additional general levels. For all of your generals in the atomic age. That means a maximum of level 50, and wow, I'm just getting scared by looking at this. Level 41, 205,000 oil for every general, for every stage. That's such a lot, such a huge amount, I can't even think about. But in total, you can get your generals up to level 50, and you can activate 4 generals simultaneously in defense if you have chosen the Pentagon. Let's go on to the library research. Guys, I quite missed a little point. I will bring a little bit later to you now. Right now, one aspect why not to rush the atomic age is quite the tactic academy, because there are quite some buildings which you can currently not upgrade in the antopical age, and one of these buildings is the war academy. So you won't be able to strengthen up your tactics, as well as you won't be able to get an additional new tactic. You also are unable to upgrade your your alliance gate, your embassy, I think it's the embassy, and as well as the shipyard. So there are some very essential buildings which you quite cannot upgrade. But now, guys, like I told to you, let's go to the library. Here we are at the library research. You see 4 additional books with 5 additional chapters. Let's start with computing. Oh, I can't see it over here, so... Over here we have computing, and like you can probably see, all of the 5 chapters are only reducing the costs of the university skill researches. 5% for food, 5 for gold, 5 additional for food, additional 5 for gold, and 10 for oil. So in total you will reduce the costs by about 10% for gold, oil, and food. But to be honest, guys, in my example, in my opinion, never, ever, the costs were the problem with the university. The problem is that it lasts for so long, and that your citizens have to be in the university instead of the library, which is quite not using these citizens. So I don't think that this computing chapter at all is so interesting. Next chapter, the radar chapter. You see quite over here, this is a very strong chapter, and also another aspect which highlights the importance of defense in the atomic age. You see, by connecting all of these buildings to your town center, they are getting additional 15% of attack. So the road network bonus, especially in the World War, but also in ordinary bases, is getting strengthened up due to the fact that not only additional hit points for your town center, but as well as additional attack points or damage per second for your defensive buildings are getting gained by a good road network bonus. Level chapter 1. Towers, level 2 mortars, level 3 machine guns, which is the equivalent to redoubts, level 4 anti-tank guns, and level 5 air defenses are getting strengthened up, and 15% is very a lot, I think, if you remind the already very high values which they have ordinary. The third book, Monuments. The Monuments book is also is only increasing the hit points of all of your Worldwonders. You see from Bronze Age, Classical, Gunpowder, Industrial, and even Atomic Age. In the beginning, I thought, wow, very lame. It's very useless, very useless, and very I don't even need it. But then, with a second look, I thought about wait. In the Bronze Age, you are I don't know, Bronze Age or even Classical Age, but in one of these ages, you are even able to get the Forbidden City. I think it's the Classical Age, and so that means if you have researched Chapter 2, your Forbidden City will gain about 30% additional hit points. So in the World War, an enemy which planned about attacking your Forbidden City and probably thought, okay, my dynamite has to be strong enough, I will just easily demolish the Forbidden City by placing 2 times dynamite on it, or even fly with my planes around and kill it, will be very surprised if he sees the Forbidden City is still staying and still surviving with 30% additional hit points. So I think the second chapter is probably the most valuable in this research. Here we have the last book, Elite Paratrooper. And this is quite the chapter I already mentioned in the beginning. I took a reference to when I talked about the upgrade of the transport and why the transport unit, the air unit, is getting probably very, very useful and strong. You see, you can research 5 chapters which are concerning this. At first you get 10% additional transport hit points, which is quite okay, but not the main aspect. Chapter 2 and Chapter 5 reducing the cooldown time by 1 and additional 2 seconds, so from 30 seconds down to 27 seconds at all. So every 27 seconds you are able to call 3 paratroopers, and with Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 you can strengthen them up by 10% additional hit points as well as 10% additional attack. So the paratroopers will get very strong in the attack, and I think it's definitely worth to use them or even try them out. In total, guys, I hope my update or my guide for the Atomic Age took all of the points which are quite important and which are new due to the atomic age. Otherwise, if I have forgotten or missed any of the points, just please give me a resonance down in the comment section. I hope I gave you some useful information. We'll see you soon. Please keep supporting, guys. Your domination tips.